Welcome back to Atlanta & Company. I'm Andrew Tyree. With more people hitting the streets on two wheels than ever, it's more important than ever to make sure they are staying safe. So with me today is Bruce Hagen, managing partner and attorney at Hagen Rosskopf law firm. Thank you so much for being here today.
So thank you for having me, Andrew. Appreciate you bringing attention to this matter.
Of course, it's very important. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about safety. What can cyclists be doing to stay a little safer on the streets?
Well, one thing is cyclists are required to follow the rules of the road, and so whenever possible, they should be doing that and following the law. But at the same time, there are things that really drivers should be focused on. Yes, cyclists have lights, wear a helmet, do the things you do to keep yourself safe, but it's drivers' behavior typically that creates the hazard, and it's up to drivers to look out for their fellow cyclists because they're just human beings riding a bike that day.
Let's talk a bit about the misconception. I think as a driver, we have some misconceptions of what we should and shouldn't be doing, what cyclists should and shouldn't be doing. So what are some of those top misconceptions?
Yeah, most definitely. One of the big ones is that cyclists should be as far to the right as possible. And that's not what the law says. It's up to the cyclist really to determine where within the lane they feel safest.
Okay, I didn't know that. So cyclists can be anywhere in the lane?
Anywhere in the lane. For example, if there's debris on the right side of the lane, or if the cyclist is preparing to make a left turn, there can't be all the way to the right in that circumstance. Another misconception is that cyclists shouldn't even be in the street, that they should be on the sidewalks. One thing that drivers get angry about is when they see cyclists riding two abreast, which they're perfectly allowed to do, and the law says riding two together is legal. Riding in a swarm is not.
Got it, got it. Okay, we talked a bit, you mentioned a bit about bike lanes. Let's talk about the different types of bike lanes, right? We talked earlier about safe bike lanes and then vanishing. Talk to me about the safe bike lanes.
Sure,
yeah.
and another misconception is that when there's a bike lane that a cyclist is required to use it, because they're not. The bike lane is exclusively for the cyclist, but they can choose whether to be in that bike lane or whether to be in the lane of traffic for motor vehicle travel as well.
Okay.
So the issue with bike lanes is that the safest ones are the ones that separate physically between the car traffic and the bike traffic. So you see this with bollards, which are those posts that come up out of the ground, or with concrete barriers that divide the bike path, bike lane from the car travel lane. Those are the safest. A stripe of paint down the road that creates a bike lane does not prevent a car from drifting over, especially if a driver is driving like this. And so drivers, put down the cell phone. I mean, this is the biggest problem we have, is distracted driving.
That's probably the biggest message right there. Put the cell phone down.
Put the cell phone down. I mean, it's the most important thing. But beyond that, the vanishing bike lane is one of those situations where there is a lane, and then when you get to the intersection, there's no corresponding bike lane across the intersection. So the cyclist then goes through the intersection, and now they're merged into the lane of car travel. That can catch drivers by surprise. So we encourage cyclists to signal their intention to move over, let the car driver know that you move over, and do what's called take the lane before you get to that point. So you're in the lane of travel where the car has to respect you, has to stop there.
Make your presence be known.
Make your presence known.
Can you tell me how much distance should drivers be keeping from cyclists?
Well, certainly stay far enough back to allow for the cyclist movement so you're not right on top of them. But if you're passing a cyclist, it's very simple. Treat it like if you're passing an emergency vehicle that's pulled over, right? First of all, if you can change lanes, change lanes. That's number one. If you can't change lanes, then slow down and safely pass when you can, leaving at least 3 feet. Another misconception is that a car driver can cross a double yellow line if need be to pass a cyclist. So go ahead and cross, get as far away as you can, but no less than 3 feet when you're passing somebody on a bike.
That's good information. That's really good information. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for teaching, because there's some things that I didn't know either. We're going to have to do another one of these.
Anytime. I appreciate this, and you know, drivers need to know these things because the people who ride bikes are just like anybody else.
Yeah.
So let's save a life.
Let's save a life. Cara, bike riding's fun. I'm going to be doing some bike riding, and now I'm going to be a little safer too. So.
Such an important PSA. Great information, and put those cell phones down, y'all. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it.